OK, time now for the second part of our big question, which this week is looking at what sport does for London. In just over an hour's time, athletes from the city will be taking part in the opening ceremony of the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. 40,000 people expected to pack out the Celtic Park Stadium, where Rod Stewart and Susan Boyle will be among the evening's entertainment. How exciting me. Well, joining me to discuss the power of sport is the sports consultant, Michelle Moore. Thank you very much. Sport, then, as a tool for change. This is something you know quite a bit about. How does it work?
Well, sport changes, makes huge amounts of changes all over the world. It's a vehicle to really kind of drive forward lots of social issues, and so it's hugely transformational. And we are on the crest at the moment of the Commonwealth Games, which is really exciting. In less than half an hour, the opening ceremony starts, and it reminds us of the power of sport. So all over the country and all over the world, people use sport to really, really address social issues. So you'll have a chess foundation in Delhi, you'll have a basketball program in South Africa, and then in the depths of Ghana, you'll have a football program, and in England, you'll have a cricket charity, all looking at how to address big social issues like HIV prevention, crime prevention, empowerment for girls. All of those big issues are addressed through sport. So it has a really transformational nature in terms of making big change, and that's about personal development for those people that are involved in that as well. But it also has a big change in terms of it's a political force, so it makes a statement, and we can look at history to remind us of that in terms of the 1968 Mexico Olympic Games, the Olympic Project for Human Rights, and even to this day in terms of what's just happened in the Football World Cup in Brazil in terms of the social unrest and the protests there. So sport is hugely transformational and creates, and the power of it is just huge.
Bringing it back to London, certainly during the times of the Olympic Games, there was a lot done to try and make sure it brought people in and it was inclusive, and there was equality, certainly for those people who lived around the site, wasn't there?
Definitely, and a part of the legacy was about making sure that people felt that it was their games, that they belonged to it, and now it's about that magnificent park being available to everybody in the community. And that was really, really a real key point of the legacy plans for that area, and it was the kind of huge transformation in terms of regeneration that's happened in East London has been very transformational for the communities there. And London, we achieved lots in terms of equality. It was the first Olympic Games ever to have every country enter a women in an event in an Olympic game. So that's huge. And I was very fortunate enough to be in the Olympic Stadium when Saudi Arabian athlete Sarah Attar competed in the 800 metres, and she was given permission to actually compete, and the first woman from her country to do that, and in so doing inspiring and motivating thousands of young women back in Saudi Arabia. So that was a really memorable moment, and a real drive for equality in terms of women's sport.
I just want to bring in a message we've had on this. This is from Ravi. It says, sport it's a great platform for young and upcoming athletes to become superstars. And he mentions Daley Thompson and Asapa Powell, to name but a few. It also gives smaller nations a lesser-known athletes that would otherwise be overshadowed by larger countries and more famous performers at the Olympics a chance to shine and win medals. Would you agree?
I'd agree. The Commonwealth Games are known as the friendly games, so it is a chance for those athletes that don't get to some of the bigger world champs and the bigger kind of major sports competitions to really come out and shine, and it's an opportunity for them to really practice what a real mega event is like, and without any kind of taken away from their talent, it's an opportunity for them to kind of try themselves out, if you like. So it's hugely exciting, and we'll get to see our Olympians, and also our Paralympians will be in action, which will be fantastic. There's 22 parasports also on show, so we'll get to see Tom Daley, and we'll get to see Hannah Cockcroft and Laura Trott do their thing, and Usain Bolt will make an appearance, hopefully, fingers crossed, and our very own Mo Farah will be there as well. So it will be hugely exciting.
Everybody loves, obviously, Usain and Mo. There has been rumours, you mentioned it was a friendly games, but there has been chat among some campaigners about how actually some of the countries involved might not have the right kind of human rights records, and actually there are issues around some of them who perhaps still criminalise same-sex relationships. Should politicians perhaps be standing up now and actually saying to some of these countries involved, this is the time to change?
Well, definitely. If we can make a real kind of political statement against those kind of contraventions to human rights, then we should do that. It's often down to the federations and the governing bodies to take that stance and really show that leadership. They need to put much more pressure on the countries to actually, when they're assessing those bids to host the mega events, that they're adhering to human rights law and make sure that that's a reality, because we just need to look at history in terms of what's happened in Sochi, what's happened in the past with South Africa and the '95 Rugby World Cup, for example, the displacement of communities in readiness for mega events, and also what's just happened in Brazil. That kind of shows us the political force that sport can have, and to highlight the real ills in society and use it as a kind of a driver for change.
Michelle Moore, thank you very much for coming in. Tomorrow night, we will be looking at how Londoners use sport and exercise as a tool to cope with the strains of living in our busy city. Yoga mats at the ready. Coming up in the final part of this show.
I asked you kindly not to sit down where I sit. I meant it personally, like every word's a hit. I know you're tired of waiting round.
It is our play-out pitch performance tonight. It's Nick Aslam.